9. Kayla Byron. 2019 got off to a pretty rough start for a 25-year-old Las Vegas woman named Kayla Byron. Just 10 days into the new year, she reportedly argued with 36-year-old Jonathan Lewis Burgos in an alleyway regarding an ongoing dispute related to a motorcycle. Byron allegedly held a pump-action shotgun in the man's face, to which he said that if she was going to shoot him, that she should just go ahead and do it already. He probably wishes he never said that, though. Kayla took Burgos's advice seriously and pulled the trigger. Police found the gravely wounded victim a short while later and rushed him to the hospital, where sadly he died from his injuries. In the meantime, the shooter fled on foot. But she couldn't run forever. Detectives already had Byron pinpointed as a suspect, and they issued a warrant for her arrest the following day. A fugitive task force located the woman and arrested her 2 weeks after the deadly shooting. She was charged with murder. It's been 3 years, but it's unclear where the case currently stands. 8. Milk Crate Challenge. You may have already heard of the Milk Crate Challenge, which involves traversing over a pyramid of stacked milk crates, a task that apparently isn't very easy, judging by the many videos of participants failing that appeared on social media. While many people found it funny to watch the viral wipeouts, the dare was anything but amusing to emergency room staff members who were tasked with treating needlessly injured patients. Speaking with the Today Show, orthopedic surgeon Dr. Sean Anthony warned that the Milk Crate Challenge is dangerous and that a lot of patients are showing up at hospitals with serious injuries, including broken wrists, dislocated shoulders, ACL and meniscus tears, and even spinal cord injuries, which can be fatal. He also pointed out that these totally avoidable emergencies were putting unnecessary strain on already overburdened healthcare systems that are struggling to deal with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. The problem became serious enough for TikTok to ban its users from posting videos of the challenge. 7. Sam Ballard. Teenage rugby player Sam Ballard was having a so-called red wine appreciation night with his friends in Sydney back in 2010 when a slug crawled into view. As soon as he saw the slimy creature, he asked his friends if they dared him to eat it. Before they could respond, the young man tossed the slug into his mouth and swallowed it. Sam became extremely sick. He was rushed to the hospital where doctors discovered that he was infected with rat lungworm. Snails and slugs can acquire the parasite by eating the infected feces of rodents. And while people rarely experience symptoms from rat lungworm, it can occasionally cause a rare but serious brain infection known as eosinophilic meningoencephalitis, which is what happened in Sam's case. He lapsed into a coma for 420 days and was left paralyzed from the neck down. Sam's friend, Michael Sheesby, told the local press that the sight of his quadriplegic friend was shocking. He described Sam as very, very gaunt and said there were cables everywhere. The ailing young man's mother, Katie, said she didn't blame her son's buddies for the dare that forever changed Sam's life. In a true display of friendship, the group rallied around Sam when he was finally released from the hospital after 3 grueling years. He suffered from seizures, couldn't control his body temperature, and required expensive 24/7 care that his family struggled to afford. And while the rugby team helped raise money to pay for the care, the cost was still burdensome. Sadly, Sam passed away in late 2018, 8 years after the fateful dare. His final words to his mother were, "I love you." 6. Skull Breaker Challenge. As we're sure you remember, people struggled to find ways to fill their newfound free time at the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic. And while many used the opportunity to catch up on much-needed family time or home repairs, pursue a passion, or otherwise put the time to good use, some people's boredom became outright destructive. The Skull Breaker Challenge, which went viral around that time, is a good example of the latter. It involved two people targeting someone who was walking in between them and swiftly kicking the victim's legs out from underneath them, causing them to fall. The challenge was named after the victim's tendency to fall backwards and hit their head on the ground. And while it doesn't take a genius to understand how dangerous the dare is, young people don't always think things through, and they tend to latch onto trends without considering the risks. So it's no surprise that kids across the U.S. began showing up at hospitals with serious injuries from the challenge, leaving parents, teachers, and school administrators horrified. Prosecutors from the Camden County Prosecutor's Office in New Jersey decided to take a no-nonsense approach to combating the problem by charging two minors with third-degree aggravated assault and third-degree endangering an injured victim. Their victim, a 13-year-old boy, suffered from a seizure, a head injury, and a concussion. He was reportedly unresponsive when EMTs arrived at the school, where the accused pair had carried out the challenge. The boy's mother told the Washington Post that the long-term effects of his injuries were not yet known as he endured his lengthy road to recovery. She said that her son felt punished because he couldn't do the things he enjoys doing. One mother from Alabama posted on social media that her son broke 2 wrist bones and needed surgery after falling victim to the disturbing dare. Other teens reported feeling numb and momentarily blacking out. A TikTok spokesperson cautioned users to behave safely, whether online or off, and warned that posting videos of the prank would not make someone TikTok famous. What internet trends did you try during the lockdown? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't yet. 5. Whoosh Bottle Experiment. Parents are increasingly pointing the finger at social media when their kids are injured or killed in the process of performing a dare, and their allegations are not necessarily without merit. These deadly dares caught the attention of Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal more than once, prompting him to publicly criticize TikTok for what he felt was a lack of oversight of its users' content. His concerns were most recently sparked by what's known as the whoosh bottle experiment. It involves lighting alcohol on fire inside of a plastic bottle to create a whoosh sound, according to a press release that Blumenthal wrote, calling on TikTok's CEO, Xu Ziqiu, to take action against dangerous user content. The senator's latest campaign against the social media platform came after a 12-year-old from East Haven ended up in the hospital with severe burns. Local fire officials used the incident as an opportunity to remind the public that fire is not a toy. The Connecticut Burn Center's medical director, Dr. Alisa Savatamal, expressed similar sentiments in an interview with news station WTNH, stating that the challenge can cause permanent scarring as well as injuries from inhaling the hot gas that's produced when the alcohol ignites. TikTok has updated its search settings to warn anyone who searches for the whoosh bottle experiment about recognizing harmful challenges and hoaxes. But it shouldn't come down to a child being seriously injured in order for the company to do something about this type of content, according to Blumenthal, who pointed out that this is exactly what happened with the whoosh bottle experiment. He asked the CEO to publicly meet with him, state school officials, and concerned parents, and to explain why such dangerous, destructive content remains on the platform and what steps TikTok is taking to eliminate it. A company spokesperson said that the Whoosh bottle experiment originated as a school science experiment and can be done safely when proper precautions are taken. 4. David Dowell. 34-year-old David Dowell was in absolute agony when he was rushed to a hospital in Brisbane, Australia in 2018. His stomach became severely bloated, his urine was black, his lungs filled with fluid, and he vomited green liquid. 2 days earlier, David had attended a party where his friends allegedly dared him to eat a gecko. A witness told the man's partner, Olira, that they watched as he took them up on the challenge. Doctors had diagnosed the ailing man with salmonella poisoning, but his suffering went beyond the normal symptoms. The doctor reportedly said that if David had eaten a gecko, it could be what caused his illness. But there wasn't enough evidence of it happening for the doctor to know for sure, especially since David hadn't mentioned that he ate a lizard. He died during surgery 10 days after the party. David's family, who claimed that they urged doctors to do more to try helping him, told the press that he basically rotted from the inside out. His grieving girlfriend said that she had begged paramedics to take him to the hospital after they tried writing off his symptoms as a bad hangover or an upset stomach. A coroner determined that the father of 3 had received adequate care, but his loved ones remained convinced that the doctors at the hospital truly didn't care about him. 3. The BENADRYL challenge. As school children, we're taught that experimenting with drugs is a bad thing, but the message doesn't always reach people clearly enough to stop them from doing it, and some have even found ways to turn their curiosity into a game. Take, for example, the BENADRYL challenge, which began trending on TikTok in 2020. The challenge encourages people to ingest excessive amounts of the allergy medication in order to experience the hallucinatory effects that it's known to cause when someone takes too much of it. If that sounds like a terrible idea, that's because it is. A 14-year-old girl is one of several teens from the Fort Worth, Texas area who landed in the emergency room after taking up on the dare. Her mother reportedly told the doctors who treated her that the girl had a resting heart rate of 199 beats per minute, and that she was hallucinating and speaking in fractured sentences. At the time, there were 2 other kids being treated at the same hospital for BENADRYL overdoses. Nearly 2 years later, medication overdoses in the area appear to be on the rise again, and local officials are concerned that the dangerous dare may have resurfaced. Over a 2-day span in late January, 9 kids from 2 different local high schools overdosed, and 6 of them were hospitalized. Their schools declined to comment on what medications the teens took, but the overdoses raised suspicions that the BENADRYL challenge may be at fault. Adults are also worried about a trending video that shows a TikTok user frying a chicken in cough syrup. Although the so-called sleepy chicken recipe appears to be satire, it's fair to worry that some people might turn it into the next viral challenge. 2. The triple tragedy. As you may have noticed, a lot of tragedies result from viral social media challenges, but dangerous dares were popular among young people even before the rise of social media. Back in 1993, the New York Times reported that 2 teenage boys were hit by a pickup truck in the middle of the night while laying in a road in western Pennsylvania to prove that they had nerves of steel. 18-year-old Michael A. Shingledecker Jr. died almost instantly, and 17-year-old Dean Bartlett was critically injured. The following night, another teenager named Michael Macias was hit by a car in the Bayville neighborhood of Long Island while performing the same dare. He was critically injured. These are just a few examples of the disturbing trend, which was inspired by the movie The Program. A scene in the film shows a college football hero lying in the middle of a busy highway. About the time the movie came out, young men throughout the U.S. began dying and suffering from injuries after being struck by vehicles while laying in the road. And while authorities couldn't always prove they were copying the stunt in the film, the timing of these incidences made it seem likely. Touchstone Pictures defended the R-rated movie in a statement, saying that it does not condone or encourage dangerous behavior, and that the character was clearly depicted as a troubled and heavily intoxicated individual who was acting irresponsibly. 1. Nyla Anderson. Most people are familiar with some version of what's known these days as the Blackout Challenge. It seems to be passed from one generation to the next as a mainstay among reckless adolescent dares. The game involves a person restricting their own breathing to the point where they faint. And for some reason, there's a perpetual myth that it's harmless when it's anything but. Tawana Anderson learned just how devastating the Blackout Challenge can be when she found her 10-year-old daughter, Nyla, unresponsive in her bedroom last year. The little girl was rushed to the hospital, where she spent several days in the intensive care unit before passing away from her injuries. Speaking with Today, licensed social worker Elizabeth Wood said that Nyla had a history of watching videos related to the Blackout Challenge. Her family was convinced that her death was the accidental result of her participation in the game. Tawana courageously went public with a story of Nyla's tragic death, which she hopes serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of the Blackout Challenge. She says that she wants no other parents to go through the emotional pain that she has from losing her daughter. But she's not the only parent who's had to cope with the loss of her child due to the game. Just months before Nyla passed away, 9-year-old Latarius Smith Jr. of Tennessee and a 12-year-old child from Oklahoma died from serious causes that their families believe are related to the Blackout Challenge. As Tawana pointed out, kids aren't mentally equipped to always understand the gravity of the risks they're taking, and they don't understand right from wrong the way an adult mind does. So it's important for parents to pay attention to what their children are doing online, because doing so could prevent a tragedy.
Number 10. Faking a hate crime. Actor Jussie Smollett was in the hit show Empire. It seems he's a terrific actor on and off screen. He was found guilty of lying about a hate crime in Chicago back in 2019. 2 years after the hoax, when his life finally caught up to him, he was sentenced to 150 days in jail and forced to pay a fine of $145,000. He was found guilty on multiple counts, all having to do with lying to the police, lying about being the victim of a hate crime, and falsifying police reports. It all started on January 29th when Jussie Smollett told the police a pair of masked men approached him at 2 o'clock in the morning. They hurled racist and homophobic insults at him, punched his face, sprayed him with an unknown chemical substance, and tied a rope around his neck. The way he described it, the crime sounded absolutely heinous. The next day, Jussie was the center of attention. Dozens of the world's most famous celebrities sent him good wishes. His name was on every Twitter account, and his picture was on every news station. But then something strange happened. The police wanted to check his phone to help with their investigation of the attack. He refused to hand it over. A few days later, the Chicago police released photographs of 2 people they believed to be involved in the crime. The day after that, Jussie says in a rather bizarre statement that he's the gay Tupac. Things were getting weird. On February 14th, 2 people were arrested and interviewed by the police. but no charges were put against him. 6 days later, the police charged Jussie with disorderly conduct and filing a false police report. They learned Jussie had paid 2 men to stage the fake attack, while also sending himself a racist letter to Fox Studios. It was all part of an elaborate plan to gain sympathy from the Hollywood community to help boost his career. Number 9. Lying about a disappearance. Christmas of 2017 saw Timothy Upsgrove taken into custody after a search for his missing wife ended fruitlessly. After searching for days and days, the police finally located Laurie's corpse in a wooded area of Titusville. She had been manhandled to death by Timothy following an argument the two had. Let's back it up to the day it happened. The couple had gotten into a fight just before Christmas, which also happened to be their 1-year anniversary. Timothy initially told the police his wife drove away from the home they shared together and never came back. This is what led to the search, which went on for nearly a week. The whole time, Timothy kept lying about his wife. He said nothing happened. She had simply driven away in a huff and should have been back by now. But after a week, Timothy couldn't take the lying anymore. He knew he would be caught eventually. He told the police that it was him who killed her and that he had dumped her body in the woods. Then, with his help, police were able to find Laurie, ditched near the back of a storage facility in the forest. The Florida man was then charged with murder for the horrifying death of his 51-year-old wife, Laurie. Number 8. Faking special needs and tricking babysitters. A man named Rutledge Deus IV was already on probation for lying about having special needs in 2019 when he was arrested yet again in 2021. You see, Rutledge posed as his fictitious brother in order to trick babysitters into changing his diaper. Yes, you heard that right. This fully grown Louisiana man has been charged multiple times for pretending to be a person with special needs, specifically to con babysitters into handling him like a toddler. He just really enjoys it when women change his dirty diapers. According to the Louisiana State Police, Rutledge faced charges of human trafficking back in November of 2019 when he was caught the first time. He was given 5 years of probation and community service. The police started their second investigation in December 2 years later when it came to light that Rutledge was texting babysitters and trying to get them to solicit other babysitters to visit his home. He was trying the old word-of-mouth strategy. But he was also caught going online and recruiting professional home health workers to care for an 18-year-old brother named Corey, who didn't exist. When these health officials showed up, Rutledge would pretend to be his brother with mental disabilities. It was also that he could get himself off while his soiled diapers were being changed. It was the most bizarre lie to get caught in, and one of the weirdest cases in recent memory. What's even crazier is that Rutledge got away with it on at least 10 separate occasions. Last we heard, he's being held on a $25,000 bond and is facing more human trafficking charges, plus 5 counts of violating his probation. Number 7. A corpse at the post office. On January 21, 2022, a pair of men walked into a post office in Ireland's County Carlow with a fresh human corpse. They carried the dead person into the post office, supporting the dead weight between them in a desperate bid to claim the deceased man's pension. It started earlier in the day at 11:30 when one man asked if he could collect the pension from an older man, but he was refused, with the staff at the post office saying the pensioner had to be present for the money to be given over. The man then returned with the pensioner and another guy, but the employees at the post office were pretty aware that the older gentleman was dead. I mean, it was obvious they were holding him up. They weren't fooling anybody. Still, the men lied through their teeth in their attempt to get the deceased's pension. They were desperate for his money and hoped the staff might not notice the horrible stench coming off him. But they did. The alarm was raised, and the two liars ditched the dead guy on the floor of the post office and ran away. Number 6. The secret dominatrix. Ekaterina Plotnikova went missing in Russia in early 2021. Throughout the entire time she was missing, the police never really suspected any foul play had been involved. Or rather, they were too lazy to do any real investigating. It wasn't until her body was discovered buried in a forest in rural Siberia that her disappearance turned into a murder case. She was found underneath the dirt, buried under a heap of rubble and wrapped in bedsheets. Clearly, Ekaterina had been killed. But what truly shocked her mother, Larissa Plotnikova, is what the police uncovered during their investigation. Ekaterina had been working as a dominatrix in the Siberian city of Novosibirsk. She had gone under the alias Mistress Stella and had been living a secret life nobody in her family knew about. Police learned Ekaterina had gone on a trip with a client around the time of her disappearance and even managed to retrace her route. But because 5 months had already passed, they had lost a significant amount of time. Her mother is now accusing law enforcement in Russia of being inactive. The truth is that more could have been done if her daughter hadn't been lying about her profession. Ekaterina had convinced her mom she was working in a beauty parlor and providing electrolysis services. If her mom had known that she was a dominatrix, she probably could have pushed the police into doing their jobs a bit better. As it stands right now, the killer is still at large. Number 5. Death on the bridge. A Florida bridge tender has gotten into some major trouble for lying after she accidentally killed an old woman in February of 2022. The 79-year-old woman named Carol Wright had been trying to walk across the bridge when Artisua Lafay Polk lifted it without checking to see if anyone was in danger. Carol just so happened to be at a point where she couldn't go forward or back, and as the bridge rose, she lost her footing and fell off and died. Artisua has been deemed criminally responsible for her death. She's also gotten in trouble for scheming with her supervisor to cover it up. This happened at Royal Park Bridge in West Park Beach, Florida. An investigation by the local police revealed Artisua initially lied about the circumstances surrounding the victim's tragic and untimely demise. She had even deleted text messages between her and her supervisor, as well as surveillance video showing her being negligent of her duties. She pushed a button to raise that bridge without checking, and her lack of oversight took a way of life. Then, she had the audacity to lie about it. She's now facing 15 years in prison. Number 4. Crazy Katie. Katie Sorensen gained international fame in December of 2020 when she appeared to have thwarted a kidnapping plot in the middle of broad daylight. Katie, a Sonoma native, called herself a mom influencer. She posted a video on social media claiming a man and woman attempted to kidnap her 2 children. It supposedly happened in the parking lot of a Michael's craft store about 40 miles, 64 kilometers from San Francisco. Katie claimed the couple creeped up on her in the parking lot, leered at her and her children, and gave her the heebie-jeebies. The couple then followed her into the store, trailed her through the aisles, and pursued her all the way back to her vehicle. Katie claimed they were about to snatch her kids when she started screaming wildly for help. Luckily, the couple got scared and ran off. At first, it sounds like every parent's worst nightmare. This woman seemed like a target, like the potential victim of daylight kidnappers. But here's where things got really bad for Katie. The police tracked down the 2 individuals she claimed were trying to steal her kids. They were identified by the police as Sadie and Eddie Martinez. After the cops started investigating, it became clearly clear Katie wasn't telling the whole truth. Sadie and Eddie were at the craft store to buy Christmas decorations. They just got unlucky and parked near Katie, who didn't like the look of them. They believe the false allegations were racially motivated. The police believe it was a calculated and orchestrated event. In other words, Katie lied about the whole thing, knowing Sadie and Eddie had no intention of kidnapping her kids. It was an effort to stir drama in the community and create a greater division between the races. In the end, it majorly backfired. Katie is now facing jail time for lying about the kidnapping. Not to mention, she's become a social pariah. Number 3. The Sibling Scammers. A brother and sister criminal duo have gotten into some very hot water for defrauding investors out of around $124 million. The siblings, John Barksdale and Tina Barksdale, lied to investors for years over the value of their multi-level marketing company called Ormeus Global SA. The company was supposedly profitable mining cryptocurrency. They had 20,000 investors between January of 2017 and October of 2021. But here's the thing. Their company was worthless. They tricked everyone into believing it was making a fortune. Their investors poured those millions of dollars straight into their pockets. Then the siblings used the cash for luxury travel, to buy houses, and to just live generally awesome lives for 4 long years. As of right now, the siblings have been charged and are facing 65 years in prison for fraud and conspiracy. Number 2. Faking terminal cancer. A North Carolina woman lied about having terminal cancer so that she could collect funds for medical expenses she didn't need. Her name is Michelle Lynn Stultz, and she's facing 4 counts of obtaining property using false pretense. According to the Iredell Sheriff's Office, she went on a campaign to raise funds after claiming to have been diagnosed with cancer. The cancer was supposed to be terminal. She went to churches, she made a GoFundMe, and she reached out to people in her community. She ended up raising quite a bit of money, but she never got to spend it. In August of 2021, one of the victims of the scam, someone who had donated roughly $4,000, realized the diagnosis was falsified. The victim was so angry that they reported the crime to the police. The cops were able to dismantle the entire operation in no time. When they started looking into it, they realized Michelle already had a criminal history of forgery and misdemeanor larceny. She was already a known liar, so it was easy for them to shut down her fake cancer operation. They never did say exactly how much money she stole, but it doesn't matter. She's going to have a hard time spending it from the Iredell County Detention Center. Number 1. A bizarre catfish scheme. A woman in Houston was arrested in December of 2017 for pretending to be her ex-boyfriend online. It was part of a weird catfish scheme in which Lisa Marie Garcia wished to frame her ex for a crime. She impersonated Brandon Barrott on social media, sending threats from his fake profile to herself. She created a fake Facebook, a fake Instagram, and even managed to get fake phone numbers, all to send threats to herself in an attempt to frame Brandon. What's truly amazing is that her scheme worked. Lisa's lying actually got Brandon arrested 8 times and fired from his job. Every time Brandon was arrested for threatening her on the internet and then let out of jail, she kept on with the scheme. But in the end, Lisa milked the scam too hard and got caught. She was then arrested by the Houston police and is facing some serious charges of bribery and online harassment.
10. Boat scam. In a fraud case, Mumbai cyber cell arrested Ragini Khandelwal, 52, and Mansi, a mother-daughter duo from India, on March 12, 2021. They reportedly scammed an Andheri businessman and embezzled approximately $12.5 million. The offer they made was to build a tugboat and a barge vessel during the lockdown. The duo promised the businessman $20,000 every month after helping him out with clients by renting out the vessels. Sushant Shelankar, the 39-year-old businessman who works in the shipping logistics industry, filed a complaint in October 2020 when he discovered that the accused had scammed other high-profile individuals, including a politician from Mumbai and Thane, by showing them the identical hull. Upon learning about the arrest warrants, Mansi fled to the United Kingdom before flying to Dubai and landing in Mumbai on January 1, 2021. Padma, Sushant's wife, also his lawyer, said that the duo had scammed her husband. The pair have scammed several other people for over $18 million after they illegally sold the same hull to these people. Mansi tried to escape by leaving the country, but they arrested her for violating the local quarantine laws. In the complaint, Sushant said he was looking for a tugboat and barge after applying for his company on June 18, 2020. He inquired about it on an online trading website. 2 days later, he received a call from Amir Khan, who further connected him with Ragini, a vessel maker in Kalyan. 9. Illegal activity. The police arrested a mother and daughter duo named Ramona Ramuta, 42, and Daniela Sinanan, 24, from the USA on prostitution charges on August 6, 2013. According to a police report, the two women advertised on Backpage.com's adult escort section. The post reportedly stated that Jasmine and Angel were waiting in Boynton Beach to rock your world with 2-for-1 discounts. Officers said neighbors saw many suspected Johns enter and leave the mother and daughter residence throughout the inquiry. Officers stopped a suspected John when he left the apartment in July of the same year. The police said that the individual admitted to the officers that he paid $100 for sex with Ramona and Daniela. According to the police report, on July 24th, an undercover officer called the contact number advertised on Backpage.com and set up a meeting with Jasmine and Angel the next day. The undercover cop went to the mother-daughter flat on July 25th and they offered him the 2-for-1 deal for $150. The officer handed Ramona $100 and told him he needed to return to his car to recover the remaining $50. Officers then entered the residence and took them into custody. They gave the duo bail after a warning. After a few weeks, the police received many complaints about the duo going back to their old ways. They arrested them once again under the same charge. 8. Exotic parlor. Police arrested Anne-Marie Dodge, 55, and her daughter Jennifer Lynn Dodge, 30, in August 2017 for operating an unauthorized sexual massage parlor out of their suburban home's carport. These two women posted an ad on Backpage.com. According to investigators, one of Anne's advertisements stated, "I am a beautiful, skilled, and licensed massage therapist that God has chosen to use to convey his healing energy to you and elevate you to a new level of bliss. I specialize in deep tissue, therapeutic, and energy massage." The police separately detained Jennifer Dodge the next day after they said she provided an undercover sexual favor for $200 rather than the $120 cost of a normal massage. In a live press conference, Officer Jessica Sullivan of the Sarasota Police Department said, "There was a carport on the right side of the property, and it almost seemed like they enclosed part of the porch, and that's where the massage and prostitution were taking place." The neighbors reported seeing 5 to 10 cars every day, with most of them being older white guys. Anne faced 2 felony counts of practicing medicine without a license and 2 misdemeanor counts of running a massage business without permission. They charged Jennifer Dodge with prostitution, and this wasn't her first one. According to court records, she already had 3 past prostitution offenses. 7. Homecoming scandal. Police arrested Laura Carroll, a former Florida assistant principal, and Emily Grover, her daughter, in 2021 for casting fake votes to help Emily win the homecoming. The duo denied the allegation in Good Morning America. In October 2020, they crowned Emily the homecoming queen at J.M. Tate High School, but a few months later, they arrested both the mother and daughter, and they faced multiple felony charges because of acquiring fake votes. According to officials, Carroll entered the school district's internal system while working as an assistant principal at nearby Bellevue Elementary School to submit false votes for her daughter to win. As the news release stated, they detected hundreds of votes for the school's homecoming court as fake in October. The investigation found 117 votes from the same IP address in a short amount of time. Investigators discovered indications of illegal access to the system connected to Carroll's smartphone and computers at her house. They cast 246 votes from those devices for homecoming court. According to investigators, Carroll's account viewed 372 high school data since August 2019, with 339 of those being Tate students. These documents contain personal information, such as medical histories and test results. They gave Laura and Emily 16 years in prison. In an interview with ABC, Laura stated she was shocked at how scores of fake votes were linked to her phone and her family's residence. 6. Fake doctor. Libby Adam, 51, and Alicia Gallas, 23, were both arrested on August 5, 2021 for an illegal butt implant surgery, which resulted in the death of 22-year-old Carissa Rajpal, an aspiring social media star. The couple, according to investigators, had been conducting cosmetic surgeries for years and were recruiting patients via Instagram. These things are done by people who have no training, no standards, and no contingency plan in case something goes wrong, said LAPD detective Robert Dinlocker. According to police, on October 15, 2019, both ladies allegedly conducted an outlaw buttocks enlargement surgery on Carissa Rajpal. According to investigators, neither lady had a medical license and they did the treatment in a non-medical institution. The LAPD officers said that the ladies' technique involved injecting an uncontained, liquid silicone material into the body, which may enter the bloodstream and cause an embolism. Silicone should not be injected into the buttocks or breast, said Dr. John Timothy Katzen, a cosmetic surgeon. The two women had performed the surgery on Carissa for the third time. According to the LAPD, Libby and Alicia phoned 911 to assist Carissa, but then fled the scene without identifying themselves or informing the paramedics what had happened so they could treat her properly. She died in the emergency room, and physicians did not know the duo had given her a silicone injection. According to investigators, the accused have been providing these treatments out of their homes since 2012 and charge approximately $14,000 for 3 sessions. Other clients have reportedly called the police to claim they're experiencing various issues because of the surgery. 5. Not Victoria's Secret. The police accuse Maria Corina Perez, 38, and her daughter Melissa Susana Partida, 19, from Los Angeles, California, of stealing thousands of dollars in products from Victoria's Secret stores during a 2-year period. According to police records, both the mother and daughter duo allegedly used a well-practiced strategy to steal almost $250,000 worth of products from a renowned lingerie retailer. The investigation began when police claimed that a string of 5 thefts occurred at the retailer's locations in Oxnard and Thousand Oaks over 4 months, resulting in a loss of roughly $15,000 in goods. Each time, the procedure was the same. 3 people, 2 ladies and a female teenager, would enter a store with a baby stroller and load it with stuff. Then one person would divert attention away from the salesperson as the other 2 pushed the stroller out of the store. After examining surveillance footage and other evidence with Victoria's Secret loss prevention, police could identify and locate the culprits. The 3 also traveled to the Bay Area, where they committed a series of thefts from Victoria's Secret stores using the same tactics, according to Thousand Oaks cops. According to the business, they suspect the team of stealing $250,000 from the merchant stores. They took all 3 into custody and charged them with commercial burglary. They also charged Melissa with 2 counts of assisting a juvenile in delinquency. 4. The wrong target. On February 6, 2017, Xiomara Quintanilla, 45, and Jennifer Quintanilla, 17, police arrested a mother-daughter duo in Houston after they charged them with assaulting a loss prevention officer and stealing from Target. According to a security video obtained by Harris County Precinct 4, the video showed them putting stuff in a shopping cart and exiting Target without paying for them. Before they exited the store, a loss prevention officer attempted to stop them. They detained the girl without incident. However, as the daughter was being arrested, the mother reportedly began throwing stuff from the basket at the loss prevention workers. According to authorities, the mother then allegedly approached one of the shop cops and smacked her in the face. The mother ran to her parked car, but deputies stopped her in the parking lot before she could escape. On January 1, 2022, another incident of assault and theft happened in North Las Vegas, where the mother-daughter, Lenora Richard and Latoya Walker, barged into the victim's house and tried to change the locks. The duo pushed the victim and went into the house when asked to leave many times. The victim stated Lenora began pulling her hair, scratching her, and punching her in the face before the ladies escaped with a safe and further belongings. Lenora also entered a room and removed a dresser drawer containing 3 old wallets, but the wallets were empty, according to authorities. A third suspect assisted the 2 ladies in changing the locks, which Lenora later said was a locksmith. 3. Crazy and thoughtless duo. Deputies arrested Rachel Dungan, 38, and Lillian Shoemaker, 20, in 2019 in the USA for shooting Lillian's boyfriend multiple times. Deputies learned the victim was at home with Lillian when Rachel arrived. According to investigators, he stated that they all left the residence, with him following the 2 ladies in his vehicle. According to Sheriff Mike Azell, Rachel was driving the vehicle carrying Lillian, and Lillian began shooting at the man. After being shot, the victim returned home and dialed 911 for help. The deputies discovered him with several gunshot wounds when they arrived at the residence on Highway 63. They sent him to hospital for treatment of non-life-threatening wounds. US Marshals apprehended the mother-daughter duo on August 18, 2019 in Mobile County, Alabama. Both of them faced charges of severe assault. On February 25, 2019, in the US, police arrested Shana Decree and her husband Dominique Decree for murdering 5 of their relatives, including 3 children. The duo killed Shana Decree's children, Nara Smith, 25, Damon Decree Jr., 13, Shana Decree's sister, Jamila Campbell, 42, and Campbell's 9-year-old twin daughters, Imani and Erica Allen. Around 4 p.m. on February 25th, Bucks County Children and Youth staff paid an unannounced visit to the Morrisville apartment, which led to the discovery of the crime scene. The caseworker instructed an apartment complex maintenance worker to look inside when no one answered the door. When the worker entered the flat, he found it in utter chaos. The duo denied it at first and said that 2 unknown men killed the victims, but later confessed with a new, twisted story. 2. Money heist. Police arrested Norma Edwina Cisneros and Tina Guerrero for robbing a bank in Westminster on October 11, 2011. After scaring tellers with a bomb, the mother and daughter duo reportedly robbed the bank. The mother informed 9 News that she had no clue that her daughter had walked into the bank. She told the news station, "All this time she was looting a bank, and I didn't know." According to Trevor Matarasso, a spokesperson for the Westminster Police Department, officers were called to the TCF Bank at 72nd Avenue and Federal Boulevard on a hold-up alert at 4:40 p.m. on October 11, 2011. According to witnesses, Tina, 31, saw them entering the bank with a duffel bag and claiming there was a bomb inside. They saw no additional weapon, according to witnesses. Tina reportedly stole an undisclosed sum of money before sprinting out of the bank to a parked beige SUV driven by her mother, Norma, 53. An undercover cop saw the SUV leaving the bank, who was in the vicinity for another investigation. According to Matarasso, the cop gave other officers a description of the SUV. They discovered the SUV and stopped it around 75th Avenue and Broadway. They apprehended Norma on the spot. However, Tina fled from the vehicle, but they discovered her later hiding in a neighboring apartment complex's laundry closet. They apprehended her without incident. On October 14, 2011, prosecutors charged Norma and Tina with robbery. 1. Credit card theft. Police arrested and apprehended Barbara Duncan, 53, and Amber Morgan, 28, a mother-daughter duo, in relation to mail thefts in 25 Indiana counties. They discovered the two in a motel in Seymour, Indiana, with many bundles of mail, including anything from identification cards to bank letters to credit cards and more. For months, police from Winnemac to Evansville had been receiving reports of mail theft. One resident could describe a vehicle that was subsequently discovered abandoned. They found a hotel bill inside that led them to the culprits. They'd stolen the car. Benjamin Turner, a theft victim, claimed he discovered his car's tag was missing when he woke up. "I assumed maybe I dropped it or it fell off the back of my car," Turner stated. But when I questioned my father later, he said it was definitely stolen and I needed to report it. On Friday, they discovered Turner's tag on a similar automobile trapped in the snow among multiple mailboxes on County Road 340. Officers claim the couple had a laptop and were attempting to access bank accounts using information from the letter. They already had several credit cards in their possession that they were utilizing to make transactions. According to one victim, one of the ladies ripped up mail and then threw an empty envelope and other objects from her car as she drove away. Sheriff Michael Carruthers of Jackson County even discovered his brother's stolen letter among the evidence gathered. Would you rather see these women harshly punished or given a lighter sentence and a chance at rehabilitation? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you liked our video, please give it a like. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks for watching.